Okay, I hope you're having a great day today. Here's your video lessons. Here are two things we'll talk about. I'll talk about those two things, and if you have questions at the end or want me to look at anything, feel free to send a message on over. I'm more than happy to answer. So let's get to it. So I got a message in the video today. Work was a little busy. And I asked if you had any questions. Looks like everything was going smooth sailing. I didn't hear anything back, so I'm assuming everything is going according to plan with our G6 arpeggio using the E form. And our 1-2 string arpeggio using the magic triangle to locate the major arpeggio across the fretboard. So remember we had that last time, right? I call it the 1-2 arpeggio because we're using one string and then one note, and then two notes on the next string, and then one note, then two notes, one note, and then two notes. That's why I'm calling it that. And you can do that anywhere on the fretboard where you find a G. Now you do have to do a little bit of math when you get to the second and third string, but you seem to do that really well last time, so we're not gonna worry about that. That's kind of a fundamental thing. When we're trying to create cool sounding harmonies, we wanna use basic triads and build off of those. So we're not trying to memorize a billion 7th chord shapes or a billion 13th chord shapes or, you know, major 7 sharp 9. There's too many to know. So what you want to do is memorize the triads, and then you add whatever flavor notes you want to said triad to create interesting harmonies. And that way you have to memorize the least amount of stuff and just remember where the magic triangle is and where all the notes are. That's kind of the trick, is not to memorize a billion arpeggio shapes, memorize a few arpeggio shapes and add flavor notes to them. It's much easier to remember 12 notes where they are on the fretboard than to remember endless arpeggio patterns that you're going to forget anyway, so why even bother learning them, because you're going to forget. I forgot them. When I first started learning this stuff, I forget them, right? I remember the triads though, because I do them often. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox about that. So, and we had that last time, we add that note to it. We had this shape right here, and then that arpeggio, and then our boxes. So we've been spending a lot of time in E-box this week. What I'd like to do is introduce the next box, because I like to do maybe like a month or two of like one box, and then another month or two of another box. And the one I want to do next is the D form. That's this guy right here. Or if you play it full shape, this right here. But you don't really see people fretting it like that too often in rock music. Maybe you see it in classical guitar, but you don't see it that often in this style of guitar. But someone fretting it exactly like this. They'll do like little partials of it, or things like that. But they're rarely doing. Sorry, this thing's garbling today. But you're not really seeing them do like the huge shape like this. So anyway, the shape is this. We have our D form G chord. Our root note is right here on the second string with this shape. So you gotta remember that G is right there. That's a G chord, right? And going to do the full shape is this guy right here. I mean, you know that already. So first thing you do is you do the arpeggio. Be able to play that stone cold, right? And then you have the pentatonic box that goes with it, formerly known as box 3, but we're going to call it D box. I have it tabbed out here for you, but I'll play through it. 5 7 5 7 5 7 5 8 4. Let's try that one more time. 5 7 5 7 5 7 4 7 5 8 5 7. Notice in there that the D chord, that D shape, is right in that scale box. So right there, right there, right there. So I don't know why that's weird today. There we go. Right? So that's the scale. That's the pentatonic scale, the G major pentatonic scale. That's the cage chord that goes with it. And so what you want to do is you just want to memorize that stuff. So I mean, I would practice. You spend one evening running up and down that until you can play it without question. If you got to think about it while you're playing it, you don't know it yet. If you think about it and you go, what's the next one? Or if you try to do sequence patterns and you go, what? Then when it comes to, you don't know it well enough to jam with, right? That's why you learn these one at a time, so that way you can know them really well, and that way you can use them for something. If you just collect shapes, you won't know them well enough to play music with them. That's ultimately the goal, is to play music, right? Not to collect technical exercises. So, we got the scale down. We have the arpeggio shape down. And what you can do is that arpeggio shape, you'll add the 6 to that one. So you have a D, a G, and a B. The closest E right here is going to be here on the 9th fret. Cut that out for you. So you got 7, 9, 8, 10, or say 7, 9, I'm having trouble with numbers today. 7, 9, 8, 7, 10. And you get this extremely useful arpeggio shape. Speaking of our sweep arpeggios, so we talked about, you mentioned the other last week, it's the beginnings of one of the sweep arpeggios. Spoiler! So we have this arpeggio. Oops, we'll lose it there for a second. And the goal would be to connect those G6 arpeggios see what I'm doing there? I'm trying to connect them. I'm trying to make it all weave together, right? So practice that for me. We'll talk way more about that next time. That's just to introduce the idea. So just start getting your fingers wrapped around that box. And then what we're going to spend the next little while on is our next phase of the operation. Get this D form down, and then we're going to link it to E and D. We're going to link those together really well. So you'll know it's, like I said, stone cold, man. Now with this stuff, you always need some sort of musical example to go with this. Otherwise, like I said, this is technical exercises. And the one I want to use is, I sent it over to you a little bit ago, it's from Mother by Pink Floyd. It's off the wall, and it's a great example of a G6 arpeggio in live real music. And it's a great lick too. That whole album is good, full of great solos. We can talk more about that album because David Gilmour had a little bit of help. David Gilmour's playing all the stuff on that album, right? No doubt. But he had a session guitarist help him write the guitar parts. And it shows with the evolution between Dark Side and The Wall, the Wish You Were Here. Anyway, so that lick is going to be this. You bend a whole step up, so it's this shape right here. You bend up to that E, so there you're bending up to the 6. You bring it down and you pull off to the 8, right through that C right there. Pull off, and then right into E form. Right there's perfect for us. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. We can do all kinds of cool stuff with that lick. But this is a great example of, in the wild, a G6 arpeggio, and it gives you this sense of that kind of like longing, and we talk about the emotions that go with the G6. So cool. So work on that lick right there, work on getting that shape down, and then like I said, we're going to integrate all this stuff together. So cool, man. Work on all that for me, and I will catch you same time next time.